So the parts of a computer, find that there are a number of parts that constitute a computer. There are those that are internal within the casing of the system unit, and then there are those that are connected through the ports. So we have, first of all, from what we looked at the beginning, we are already aware that we have 4 or 5 major components. That's input, output, storage, processing. How many are those I've mentioned? So all those components we can dive deep into them. For example, input, we can look at the different components that we use to enter data into the computer. Then the same thing applies for output, then storage, and so on. Okay? Now, looking at these components specifically, for example, if we were asked what the CPU is, of course, in most cases, for the first time, usually people always think that the CPU refers to that box-like component, okay? However, for us who have entered computer classes, we are now in the transition from being computer illiterates to computer literates. Therefore, by now, we all know what a CPU looks like physically. So when you look at the screen that is going to come, it's showing us, actually, it's already come. It's showing us how a CPU looks like physically. And actually, for your information, it is almost the same size as what you are seeing on the screen. Unfortunately, we've always been thinking that the CPU is this box here, okay? Where you are seeing my cursor positioned here. However, from today onwards, in case you didn't know how or what the CPU looks like, it is a chip, the way you are seeing my current pointer. Okay, where you are seeing my pointer, look facing, okay, pointing. So actually, it's almost the same size as, if not exactly the same size, depending, of course, on the computer you are using, okay? But generally, it's about the same size you are seeing on the screen, on my screen, especially if you are using the desktop version or the laptop version of the computer. Then that's the central processing unit. In other words, it's what we call the brain of the computer, which actually works on whichever the computer is doing. Then we are talking about the motherboard. When we talk about the motherboard again, ladies and gentlemen, let's also have a look at it. And what is the motherboard? Just like the word suggests, mother, okay? The mother unifies all the members of the family. You'll find that for the motherboard, if you are to connect any component on the computer, you are actually connecting it to the motherboard, okay? On this motherboard, we have what we call ports, okay, and slots. Some of the components are attached through ports, whereas others through slots. For example, when you look at this screen here, the main picture is showing us a motherboard that is having, among other ports, we have the Ethernet port, we have the sound port, we have so many ports, USB port, we have HDMI port, we have all those different ports you can think of. Then besides those ports, we also have slots, such as, for example, right now I'm pointing at I think these are RAM slots. Then we have other expansion slots, okay, that we can use to connect different components on the computer. Then, having looked at that, we are moving on. Of course, there are so many components. However, I will ask you to read about them, just like the next slide suggests. Actually, one of the members in this class was talking to somebody that this man asks so many questions while teaching. But that's one of the easiest ways of learning so that the members get engaged. So I'm going to ask the members. Of course, I know some of you are not comfortable with me asking, but you have no option, you have no choice. So I'm going to ask the members to list the different components they know and what each one of the components does. So we are starting our game the way we always do. So let me start. I'm going to use alphabetical order starting from using descending order. So I'm going to ask Mugasha Darwin to tell us one component you know and what it does on the computer. Yes, Mugasha. Mugasha, can you speak to us? Okay, Mugasha is absent. Herbert, can you speak to us? Oh, let me first enable the microphones and turn them off. Okay, so let's have Mugasha speaking. I turned off the microphone. Now you can unmute yourself. Is here, I think is absent. He just logged in and went. That's how I know who has attended and who has not attended. Okay. Mugasha is absent. Okay, let me follow the ascending order. Those ones down are just sleeping. We have Anita Namata. Namata, unmute and speak to us. She's absent. Davis Kagezi is absent.
Hold on.
Yes.
I had a problem with my microphone.
You can now speak.
One of the components, I would say, a mouse, which is used to. Am I still being got?
Continue, and we are listening.
A mouse which is used to direct, like for example, when selecting, highlighting folders and folders.
Okay, thank you very much. We have Anita Namata. Can you speak to us as well? Anita, can you? She's absent. Okay. Bahat Emmanuel, can you speak to us? Please, once I mention your name, turn on the microphone, speak, then unmute, then mute yourself. Bahat Emmanuel, I think, is also absent. Oh, some people sometimes just log in and go. Okay. And we have Colin Kanabi. Can you speak to us? If you can't, if your microphone has a problem, please use the chat and give us what we need from you. So Colin has talked about a keyboard, which is inputs, okay? Although it's already mentioned. We have Edwin Walter. Please turn on the microphone, speak, then turn off. Edwin Walter is absent. Okay. Yes, Walter, continue. Your hand is up.
So hold on.
Sorry?
A flash disk. A flash disk. A flash disk.
Okay, those are storage devices that are external, but I mean those components that are by default supposed to be on the computer. Okay, thank you anyway for trying. Then we have Maria Agnes. Can you speak to us since your hand is already up? She's not with us, I think. Okay, let me move on to Dero. Dero, can you speak to us? Dero, are you with us? I think he's also not with us. Then let me move on to, okay, we have Kemigisha Fiona. Your hand is up. Speak to us.
The random access memory.
Okay,
which
we have
stores data regarding.
Okay, thank you very much, Fiona. Then I can see Herbert is having his hand up. Herbert, can you speak to us?
Yeah. We have the mouse. We need to allocate as
have the mouse.
It's used to allocate items or applications on the computer screen.
Already mentioned. Okay, let me move on to, yes. Okay, we have a guest, Andrew, speak to us. Turn on the microphone. He's not with us. Okay, even attendance sometimes. Then we have Asasira. He's absent. We have Chigundu Nata.
We have a wire.
We have what?
Wireless motherboard.
We have a what?
A wireless motherboard.
Huh. Your sound is not clean. I'm just hearing wire.
A wireless motherboard used to display information.
Wireless motherboard?
Yeah.
I'm not getting your point.
It's this a wireless motherboard used to display information.
Oh, that is, I'm hearing that for the first time. A wireless motherboard. I didn't know about that. But maybe you didn't know we didn't get what a motherboard is. A motherboard is that circuitry, that printed circuitry, on which all components connected to the computer are attached. Okay, that's the motherboard. So I don't think there is a motherboard that is wireless. It has to be physical in all senses. It has to be physical. Yes, Nacha Uni Harriet.
A monitor.
Harriet? Yes, we have a monitor. Thank you very much. We have Kimigi Shegain. Alan Gift, tell us actually for you tell us 5 components of a computer you know. Alan Gift, can you speak to us? Alan Gift, can you speak to us? Is absent. Now Telega, Sylvia, continue.
Yes, I'm present. Good afternoon.
You are present, but you're not participating in class.
Yes, sir.
Now Telega, you are the one giving us something. You are telling us.
Well, sorry.
Anyway,
pardon?
You have very okay. Let's close the chapter.
Has various buttons.
Okay.
Hello.
Let's close that chapter and move on to something else. So, however, members, I'm tasking you to go and investigate the different components of a computer. It has so many components, okay? So many. So investigate about the different components and what each one of the components does, okay? Maybe you could even get a piece of paper in this case, okay? Find out the components, write them down, and the roles. You never know, in future you might be asked to provide that list. So moving on, we are looking at, first of all, categories of computers. We will find that we can categorize computers in so many forms. Okay. For example, we can categorize according to there are those that are analog and others are digital. We can talk about mobile and fixed computers. We can talk about home and office computers. We can talk about different categories. Okay. However, for us in this course, we are going to put our emphasis on the generic categories. And we have what we call mainframe computers. We have what we call supercomputers. We have what we call personal computers. By the way, it's always not very good for me to list everything when the members are here. So I'm going to ask you members again, besides what I've talked about, to investigate, I want to trickle your minds always to think beyond the box. Okay, so you're going to investigate about the categories of computers, and amongst the categories, I'll talk about supercomputers. That is the most powerful computer, category of computer, and the most expensive. Okay, this one executes millions and millions of instructions in a second. Okay, and in most cases, because instead it is owned by big corporations, in which corporations there are lots of data requirements, whereby a lot of data has to be accessed and processed in real time, instantly. For example, look at weather forecasting. Among these other corporations that do use supercomputers are those that are involved in studying weather and investigating the forecast. Then we also have what we call personal computers. These personal computers, if you remember what I said at the beginning in lecture 1, that most of the terms we use in computing are borrowed terms. Therefore, even the word computer, so from the word computer, everything is borrowed from the normal English meaning. Okay, so what is a personal computer? If you could remember what a computer is, you're able to tell what it is as well. So we can say that a personal computer, this is a computer that is designed to be used by a single user at a time, or that are designed for personal use. So that's what we can say about what a personal computer is. Okay, now having looked at what it is by definition, you will also find that we can as well call this personal computer, we can as well call it microcomputer. Again, if you know what micro means in English, you realize that micro means small. Okay, therefore this is the smallest type of computer we have in existence. It is the smallest in size, and it's the cheapest. It is the most common type of computer that is available everywhere. Now, having talked about it, you'll find that we can still look at different types of personal computer, such as, for example, we have the ones we are using right now. Okay, so I'm going to ask you who. Once I mention your name, you're going to talk about a type of personal computer that you know. So let me start with the Davis Kagezi. Davis Kagezi, can you mention just one type of personal computer you know? Davis, can you speak to us? Davis is absent. Let me go to Chigundu Nasa.
My personal computer, I think we have a laptop as one of the personal computers.
Very good, we have a laptop. Yes, Chigundu?
Yeah, we have smartphones.
We have smartphone, thank you very much. We have Bazanya Sheila. Bazanya, can you speak?
We have smartphones.
Smartphone, thank you very much. We have Busula Andrew. Busula. I wish all people are like those people that have just selected. They were ready to speak. Yes, Busula.
We have smartphones. We have smartphones.
Already mentioned. Yes, we have Mbira. Edley. Please,
we have a tablet.
Of our session, if you're not yet ready. Okay, Mugisha Darwin.
Yes.
Yes, Mugisha.
Yes, there's a MacBook.
We have a MacBook. Okay, we have Maria Agnes. Maria Agnes. I think she's not with us. We have Abba, your hand is up.
We have laptops.
Okay, thank you very much, Maria. Yes, Herbert, your hand is up.
Laps.
Okay, I think Herbert is not with us. We can
Yeah,
move on. Thank you
so we have in
that have
scientific
participated
calculators.
and contributed something to this discussion. Let's move on. So among us, the types of personal computers, we have tried to list some of them. For example, we have desktop. Desktop are designed, these are the ones that we always have on the desks or seated on the tables. So there are amongst the examples of personal computers. Then we have talked about laptops. These ones are designed to be used while on the laps, if you know what a lap is. Then we have tablets. Tablets among those handheld computers that are designed to be used while we are in the field. So it's among the mobile devices. Then we have personal digital assistants. So many other types you can think of. So please, I want you to investigate. Remember, I told you that at university, we don't teach, we just lecture. A lecturer just gives you a guide, okay? Just hints on something, then it's now incumbent upon you to always go and investigate further about that specific subject. So let's move on. We have talked about, I think this one we have already looked at it. Now, from the general introduction, we are looking at computer hardware. By definition, I guess we all know what hardware is. So I'm going to ask somebody to tell us what they know about hardware. And in this case, I'm asking Masiko Warren. Yes, Warren, what do you know about hardware? Warren? Please always be on standby. I mention your name, just turn on the microphone, speak, then turn off the microphone. Yes, Warren, what do you know about hardware? Okay, Warren is not with us. Coordinator, Rebecca. Can you speak to us, Rebecca? I think she's absent.
Yes, sir. No,
Yes.
I'm here.
Okay,
Hardware, what I know about hardware, they are the tangible parts of a computer.
Thank you very much.
The tangible parts of a computer.
Thank you very much. You deserve a hand clap. Can you clap for yourself? Okay. Okay. We have Selina Liaka. Do you have a different opinion from what the coordinator has said, Selina?
I would say they are the physical parts of a computer that enable it to function.
Okay, thank you very much. Then we have Namata in the chat. Tangible physical components that constitute a C. Okay, thank you. So that is it. So we are looking at when talk about hardware of a computer, these are the physical, or call them tangible components of a computer that we can see, touch, and feel. Coordinator, can you come online? Can you turn on your microphone? Coordinator, ask you a question. Rebecca, is your microphone on? Do you have a boyfriend, Rebecca?
It is. I don't.
Do you have a boyfriend?
It is. The microphone is on.
Okay, do you have a boyfriend? That's the question I have. Do you have a boyfriend?
No, I don't.
Are you sure? Why don't you get one?
You have now, Racho Tulimba.
Rebecca, otuswazizza nnyo olimba.
A whole coordinator not to be having a boyfriend. Out of the flock, just pick one and say you are the one I'm taking. Okay?
Yo,
so,
I'm the one.
Boss.
Oh, okay, let's come back to class. So let me ask somebody who has either girlfriend or boyfriend. If you have, please raise up your hand and ask you the question I wanted to ask Rebecca. If you have either boyfriend or girlfriend, please raise up your hand, then ask you the question. Rebecca Tswaziza. Okay, somebody has, that is 6. Can you come to the microphone and we chat? I don't know whether, let me start with Winnie Namigad actually. Winnie, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Okay, fine. Now, tell me, how do you feel anything when you are with him?
Of course, I do.
What do you feel?
I feel everything.
Electricity.
You feel everything. You feel like you are okay. You feel like you are on top of the world, not so?
Yes,
Even
I
when you
feel the
touch
best
him, for example,
feeling.
when you touch on his head, you feel like, yes, I'm touching
Yes, I feel
something, not
like,
Brilliant.
so?
yes, it's well shaped.
Oh, okay, fine, thank you. So you find that that's what hardware is, but that man you are having, Winnie, at one time, regardless of course, God forbids, but time will come when he's no more. Are you aware?
Yes, I know and aware. I know, I just know. Just for life.
Yes, yes, it's for life. Time will come is no more. Do you think you'll still feel him when he's no more?
But it's still, I can recognize his presence in case of anything happens, or like he left something behind, left anything that can connect me to him.
No, I mean the way you feel him in his physical presence.
No. Of course, I'm not going to feel him anymore.
Exactly. So similarly, just like human beings are in two forms, that is the body and the soul. Okay. So human beings, a human being, just like Winnie is in two forms: the body and the soul. The body, you can touch it the way she feels and touches his body and sees his body. Okay. Whereas the soul, you can't see it, you can't touch it, you can't feel the soul. Okay. Similarly, that's how a computer is. Why is it like so? It's like so because a computer was designed to mimic, okay? To mimic man, to imitate man, to do what exactly man does. Therefore, it's also in two forms. That's the hardware and then the software. So we have seen that the hardware are the physical, tangible components that we can see, feel, and touch. Okay, we can see with our naked eyes. So in other words, you can think of any components that you're able to touch by your hands, with your hands. Any components that you're able to see with your naked eyes that you can be able to feel. Okay, all those things are called hardware, and we have tried to give some examples. Of course, we can't list them all and exhaust. So just like the previous question that I tasked you to do, so some of the answers would be maybe the ones you are seeing on the screen. Okay, so those are some of the examples we can mention. Now that we have looked at them, of course, we can go into the details of, for example, specifics such as categorizing into what we call input components, output components, processing, storage, and so on. Okay, we can just look through, and for example, if you are asked, sometimes, by the way, I always ask that find out the odd man out. Then I give, for example, webcam, scanner, microphone, etc. And I want you to find out which one doesn't belong there. For example, when I look at the screen, assuming I had the print amongst those components, of course, it would be the odd man out. Why? Because for it, it's an output device, whereas the ones we are seeing on the screen are input component. Okay, then we have explained some of them in details, just like you can see on the screen. That's output component again. These ones are used for getting information out of the computer. And I guess that we can try mentioning some of the examples we know for output devices, such as the printer we have on the screen, such as the speakers for outputting sound, such as the ATC projectors, such as the monitors, such as all those other different components that you know that are used to get information out of the computer system. Now that we've looked at that, of course, some of these ones we have already talked about them, such as we have talked about the system unit, which is the box-like component. Some of us used to call this one the CPU, but starting today onwards, we know that the CPU is not that box. That box is inside called the system unit. The CPU is the central processing unit, that is a tiny chip inside, which we always equate to the brain of the computer. Then this screen is also showing us the inside of the computer. That's the components on the motherboard. Some of them are visible, for example, able to point at the CPU that is attached to the motherboard, just like you can see here. We have some other components such as these slots, these expansion slots, just like you can see here. We have, for example, these we have other slots here. In this case, these are slots for inserting RAM. Then we have the power supply this side here. Then we have, actually, this is an old computer, old technology, which is becoming obsolete, which adds so many cables inside. Nowadays, of course, we find that most of the computers have almost no cables, whereby most of the components are integrated, okay? Just a tiny chip, but having all the components built in there. Then we are talking about RAM, that is random access memory. When we look at RAM, amongst the components, RAM is random access memory in full. RAM is what we call the working memory of the computer, okay? What do we mean by this? Whichever the computer is working upon, okay, is picked from RAM because it's the working memory. Meaning, whichever it is, wherever it is stored, it has to be loaded into main memory, okay? It has to be loaded into RAM. Whether you have saved it on the hard disk, on the flash disk, on the CD, on the disk, on the flash, on the optical disk, mention any storage, okay? It has to be picked from wherever it is and loaded into the main memory, so that from the main memory it can be sent to the processor for execution. That is, now you run it with this RAM. First of all, it's called random access. Any sector that is free can be randomly selected and used for storage, okay? Hence the name random access memory. Why? Any sector can be randomly accessed and used by the system. Then if you don't call it random access memory, you can as well call it temporary memory. Why do we call it temporary memory? Is because in most cases, actually not in most cases, but whenever you're working with a computer, you will find that in case power goes off, anything that is in that memory is totally lost. Therefore, it doesn't keep permanently. It stores temporarily, okay? It is called working memory stroke temporary memory. As long as there is no constant power supply, it goes off, everything is lost, okay? In case you shut down your machine, whichever is in RAM is lost as well. So I can call it random access memory, I can call it temporary memory, I can call it working memory, I can as well call it volatile memory, okay? Why volatile again? It is called volatile memory because it doesn't store permanently, okay? The memory that stores permanently is what we call non-volatile memory, okay? So this memory has about 5 names in total, but they all mean the same, okay? I guess you remember all the names that I've mentioned. So just in case you are required to provide those names. Then we have also what we call read-only memory. With read-only memory, ladies and gentlemen, this is the memory that that can be used to only read its contents, but we can't write onto that memory. What do I mean by this? Okay, for example, when you turn on your gadget, for example, the smartphone you have, for example, the computer you have, for example, the TV at home, for example, the DVD at home you have, think of any device, okay? Sometimes it brings some information and some graphics. For example, if you are using LG TV or whichever mobile phone you are using. I think in most cases, among other things, you'll see, for example, LG as the picture, the logo, LG logo, and then also the brand name. Meaning that information you are seeing on that TV is only for you to read, but you can't write anything onto it. You can't add anything, you can't remove anything on that memory. Okay, that kind of memory is what we are calling the read-only memory. Then also, if you have to look at read-only memory again, sometimes when you buy devices, such as, for example, printer, what we call the peripheral devices, okay? Such as a printer, such as a scanner, such as, for example, a Wi-Fi router, such as a router, not these Wi-Fi's, but I mean these, for example, the Linksys routers, or any other gadget, okay? Sometimes find that it comes with CDs, with a CD, okay? That CD is having software which we call drivers. So if I that those drivers on the CD, you can't edit anything. You can't remove anything, you can't add, but you can only access the contents and use the contents. So that's the memory we're talking about. That is random access memory, which memory we can only read but not modify. Then you also read about what you are seeing on the screen, such as the what we are calling memory storage media and then storage device. You just read about them. Now, if we are to look at memory in the details again, ladies and gentlemen, we have this floppy disk, okay, on our screen. You will find that this floppy disk is what? Is out of date nowadays. I guess, I don't know if some members have seen it, okay? I guess there are those that have never seen them. During my days at school, these were the most common storage media we had, okay? Nowadays, they are no more. Why? Because the main reason as why they are no more is because of its capacity. A floppy disk could store only up to 1.44 MBs of data. So nowadays we're talking about the information age, okay, whereby data is too much. Okay, we have a lot of data in use. Therefore, a floppy disk cannot contain as much data as we have currently. So in case you've never seen one, this is how it looks like. All these pictures you're seeing on the screen are showing us floppy disks in different colors, just like you can see here. So this is the front end of a floppy disk, just like you can see my cursor, okay? Whereas this one here is the back end of the floppy disk. This image, for example, where you are seeing my cursor pointing, okay? All these are floppy disks. Then moving on, ladies and gentlemen, you will find that we have other storage devices we can use, okay? Such as, for example, the hard disk. With the hard disk, we have two types or two categories of hard disks. We have those that are external and those that are internal. For the internal disks, they are always inside the system for the case of desktops, whereas for the laptops, they aren't in the desk, they're not in the system unit, but they are inside the system on the board. They're installed on the board, okay? Then for the external ones, they are just like you can see this picture here. It's an example of an external disk. So these ones are usually used for backup purposes, so that you are able to, by the way, it is always very risky to have all your eggs in one basket. Just imagine you have sensitive information on the laptop, and then you happen to move on the street, somebody tries to maybe to snatch the laptop from you, okay? Or maybe it can even if it's not snatched, okay? It can maybe crash or something can happen to it, meaning whichever you have on that disk or on that computer is totally lost. That's why it's always important to always keep some information separately off from the system that you are working with. So that, for example, in the event that the disk or the information has been corrupted by viruses, at least you have a fallback position. That's why you always need to have these other external disks that we just connect to the computer and then disconnect whenever need arises. To access information, you always just connect through the USB. Then we have what we call optical disks, ladies and gentlemen. These ones, we know them all, I'm sure. What we call the CDs and DVDs are optical disks. The difference between DVDs and CDs that for the CD, it is having capacity of about 700 MBs, whereas for the DVD, it has 4.7. Usually, most of them have 4.7 GB. So that says a difference of about 4 GB between a CD and a DVD. Then on these DVDs and CDs, sometimes we have some inscriptions, such as, for example, CD-ROM, okay, or DVD-ROM, okay. Then we have CD-R or DVD-R, okay. We have CD-RW or DVD-RW. So for the CD-ROM, they're only, just like I talked about peripheral devices such as a printer that come with their DVDs or CDs that are having drivers. So with the ROM, you can only read the contents on that disk. Then we have CD-R standing for CD recordable, meaning you can only write once, write and write many times on the same. Now that we've looked at that as well, let's shift. Of course, we have these other miniature disks, such as the ones we use in our mobile phones, the ones we use in our cameras, those portable disks, okay, in the name of memory cards. Then, having looked at all this, I think we have tried to exhaust it all under hardware. Let's shift gears and engage to software, okay? So I'll start by posing a question again, ladies and gentlemen. What is computer software? Who can tell me what software is? Ladies and gentlemen, software. The floor is open for discussion.
The intangible parts of a computer.
Okay, Sandra said that intangible parts of a computer. Yes, David.
It's what I was going to say.
Okay, that's according to David. Then we have Herbert. Herbert?
These are questions that help to manage the computer. I thought of it.
Okay, let's hear from Pade. Herbert, I think, is in another background. Pade, yes?
Computer software is a collection of instructions that tell a computer how to work.
Okay, thank you very much, Pade. We have Agnes Maria. Maria Agnes, can you speak to us? Maybe she's not with us. Let me ask this man, the oldest man of the clan, is called the who? Allen Gift. Allen Gift, are you online? He has already disappeared.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. Yes, Wallen. Wallen, anyone is up? Absent. Okay, we have Bamweyana. Absent. We have. Okay, we have Kabantu, Jocelyn. Yes, Jocelyn. Okay, we have Namata Anita saying that Software is a set of programs, procedures which describe what a program does and how it is and how it is be used. Okay, so that's according to Namata. But my teacher told me that when you are defining, okay, it's okay. So when talk about software, ladies and gentlemen, I'll ask those members to lower their hands. So we are saying that software refers to instructions in simple terms. Okay, machine readable instructions. That's what it means. Okay, just like I talked about Winnie's boyfriend. Okay, who has the body and the soul, just like Winnie herself does. Okay, body and soul. The body is physical and it has weight, but it will not determine your destiny. Okay, instead the soul is the driver. Okay, the soul acts as the engine to determine your destiny. Either you'll go to hell or you'll go to heaven. If you go to heaven, you are safe. Okay, if you go to hell, you'll go to the burning what? Fire. You're getting me? So, ladies and gentlemen, software. Okay, software. By the way, did you people watch that clip? I think it's some years ago. Two things involved on this earth. There are two things involved. Did you watch that comedy clip? Somebody has said yes. Okay. So similarly, when we talk about software, it is the instructions that direct computers processor on what to do and how to do it. Okay, that is software. It is intangible. You can't see software. Okay, you can, for example, touch a CD on which software is installed, on which software is saved. You can touch a flash disk on which software is saved. However, you can't touch software by itself. It is intangible. It is invisible. You can't see it. You can't feel anything. You will feel the CD, which is hardware, but you not feel the software on that CD. Okay, so it drives, it directs, it instructs the hardware on how to behave, what to do, when to do it, how to do it. That is software. Okay, then moving on, gentlemen and ladies, now that we have talked about software, we can categorize our software into two. That's what we call system software, or if we don't call it system software, we can call it the operating system. Okay, what have I said, ladies and gentlemen? Can we say it if we are following? I don't know if somebody is with me.
Operating.
Okay, somebody. Thank you very much.
But system software can also be called operating system.
Okay. So thank you very much. So the system software is what we're calling it, operating system. And what is the operating system, ladies and gentlemen? The operating system is the system, or is the software that directs, controls, and coordinates all operations of the computer. Okay, that is system software. It directs, it coordinates, it supervises, and it provides the interface for the user to interact with the computer. So don't worry, I know some of you could be asking what I've said. Of course, it will be re-echoed in my explanation. So, of course, we shall look at application software as well. But let's first look at, now, when we look at, for example, I'll ask those that know about system software, that have prior knowledge about system software to mention some examples of system software. Yes, can we mention them? I'm waiting. Yes, Tayebwa. Can you speak to us, Tayebwa? He has escaped. Okay, Paddy, speak to us.
Examples, we have Firefox, Skype, Windows Media Player, Visual Media Player,
Okay,
Microsoft Access.
There.
Okay.
You can stop there. You can stop there. You can stop there. Okay. So I want members tell me the examples of system software that you know.
Compiler.
Let me ask. Oh, okay. We have, let me ask the coordinator herself to tell us. Coordinator, speak to us. Meanwhile, we have some members in the chat saying something. Let me check what we have in the chat. Yes,
so
we
have
have
search engines. We have
okay.
search engines.
So we have Namata. Okay, thank you for your submission. We have Namata has talked. She has talked about Linux. Then Okecho Collins has talked about Android. We have Maria Agnes has talked about Windows S. I think you wanted to say Windows OS. Okay, so those people I've mentioned, whose names I've mentioned, have given us very good examples of system software. Okay, amongst them, ladies and gentlemen, somebody has talked about Linux. Linux is an operating system. Okay. First of all, what's an operating system? An operating system or system software is this software that controls, coordinates, computer works. Okay. I said it is the software that coordinates, controls operations of the computer, and it provides an interface for the user to interact with the computer. Okay, that is system software. Examples we have talked about. Number one is Linux, which somebody has mentioned, that is Namata. Then we have Android. Most of the phones we have, I think the smartphones, among others, are using Android as the operating system. Then we have Windows is another operating system. Then we have actually Shirok has talked about iOS. Okay, it's another, for example, those which phones use an example of a smartphone that uses iOS. Actually, even those that are doing Cisco, those routers and switches you configure are using iOS as the operating system. We have Mac or Macintosh operating system. Then we have, Namat has again talked about Unix. It's another operating system we have. Okay, thank you very much, Namata. Then we have, for example, Java. Those is small phones. Some of them use Java as the operating system. Like those is, sometimes people call them Kabiriti. Okay, some of them use Java. Then we have, which other example? We have Ubuntu. Okay, thank you very much, Godrich. Ubuntu is in the family of Linux. Ubuntu is in the Linux family, but it's also an operating system. Okay, now let's talk about specifics. For example, under Windows, which some of you know, if not all of you. In most cases, when people talk about operating system, people's minds go straight to Windows. Okay, and they think that all operating systems must be Windows, and think that all computers must be having Windows. Okay, that's what people think, that all computers must be having Windows for them to work, which is not true. Okay, so you will find, gentlemen and ladies, that Windows is just one of them. Okay, Windows is just one of the operating systems we do have. Unfortunately, let me ask you who? Let us coordinate Rebecca. Rebecca, come and speak to us. Can you turn on the microphone, Rebecca, and speak to us? Since you are the coordinator, you're supposed to be eventually. Yes, Rebecca, in your village, okay? Let me first mute some individuals. Maria is making some background noise. Let me mute her. Okay. So Maria, sorry, Rebecca, in your village, when somebody talks about shoe polish, what do they think? In your village, when they talk about shoe polish, what do they think? Rebecca.
That it's used.
Which type of shoe polish? Which type do they think of? Which brand do they think of?
Kiwi.
Kiwi. How about toothpaste?
Delident, Colgate.
Most of them think of Colgate. The same thing, fuel station, they think about Shell, okay, margarine, they think about Blue Band, etc. So Windows is just one of them. So from now onwards, now that we are computer literate, we are now aware that there are so many examples we can think of. Then you find that, for example, under Windows again, there are different versions of Windows, okay? For example, we have nowadays, the newest we have is Windows 11. Then we have Windows 10, we have Windows 8.1, we have Windows 8, we have Windows, before Windows 8, we had Windows, I think it's Windows 7. Then before 7, we had Windows Vista, then Windows XP, and so on. All those different versions, okay? Meaning, why do we have all those? Because human wants are insatiable. You can never satisfy man. However good you will be, you'll never satisfy. So if you have a woman at home, you'll never satisfy her. If you have a man, you'll never satisfy that man. So they keep reinventing and discovering new things that people want. That's why we always have different versions of the same being released. So we have looked at the different operating systems we have. So what does the operating system do? Okay. We are saying that the operating system is the most important software on the computer. Okay. Meaning without it, the computer is as good as useless. Therefore, you can't use it. Okay. However, you can have a computer without, that is having an operating system, but without application software, and it's working very fine. Okay. So why? Because the operating system is one that controls, that manages, that directs operations. And I'm emphasizing this word, and it provides interface, okay, between the user and the computer. So that's what the operating system does. Then when we talk about interface, I want to read about interface and the types of computer interface we have. So please, in your free time, try to read about it. Now I'm asking, Pade, your hand is up. What do you want to say? Any point or any question you want to ask Pade, please? Can you say it? Okay, I think it was there by accident. Okay, then functions of the operating system. From its definition, ladies and gentlemen, we are able to derive the functions of the operating system. That is to control and manage hardware connected to the computer, to provide interface. I think this is the 10th time I've mentioned that word. Okay, to provide the interface between the user and the computer to ensure that everything is working fine. Okay, on the computer. Then you will also read about what you call utility software. Okay, read about utility software, ladies and gentlemen. So we can move on. Types of software. Okay, now the operating system, ladies and gentlemen, gives us what we call the platform. Okay, therefore, the operating system provides us with the platform to interact with the computer. Now that we have the platform, we are able to execute or perform specific tasks on the computer, tasks that we want to get executed. Okay, so how is this possible? It is possible for us to perform specific tasks by use of what we call applications. Okay, so the applications allow us to perform specific tasks using what we call application software. So that is another type of software that we can have on the computer installed for use. So we are saying, ladies and gentlemen, that by definition, application software is this software that allows the user to perform specific tasks. I remember when I asked members to give examples of system software, some people instead mentioned the application software. Okay, so ask yourself, which task do I want to execute on this computer? For example, someone said that I want to type a letter. That means I need the word processor as my application software. Okay, another one said that I want to play music. That means that maybe they need a player such as VLC, such as Windows Media Player, such as you can mention them all, PC, DJ, etc. Another one said that for me, I want to browse the internet. Therefore, this person needs a web browser such as Firefox, Chrome, etc. Another one said that me, I want to create a database and manage my records. So they will need something to do with a DBMS. Okay. Another one said that me, I want to maybe to have an electronic audience and present to them. So they need a presentation software, etc. Ask yourself, maybe I want to edit a video. Maybe they want this in such a case, such a person should be having a software that is able to edit, video editor, editing software. Okay, etc, etc. In other words, each task, be it a calculator, an alarm clock, setting an alarm, mention anything, think of anything. Okay, that is a task that you want to execute. So that software that you use to execute it is the one that we are referring to as application software. We have tried to explain them all in details. You can read through. For example, I want to find out how to install. In case you don't, please read about how to install, find out how to install, learn how to install software. But of course, in most cases, you don't just install unless if you have rights. Because, for example, look at our lab at the university. Students are not permitted. That is, it's only the admin, somebody who has the admin account that is allowed to install software on the computers in the lab. Interface, such as graphical user interface and command line interface. What we are seeing on the screen right now about software programmer, I guess we know who a programmer is and what they do. Then we can talk about what we can use the computer for, such as access to the internet, entertainment, communication, managing records, etc, etc, etc. All those ones, I guess we can try. Then how we can use computers, we can apply computer virtually in each and every angle of our lives. For example, right now we are learning. So in education, we can use computers, and anywhere else you can think of, we can use computers everywhere in our now they have become part of our day-to-day life. On the next screen, where industries where we can use computers, it's the same thing we've discussed on the previous slide, such as in business, actually it's everywhere nowadays. Then of course, etc. That I guess you know. How do you buy a computer? Okay, how do you buy a computer? Now, most people sometimes, actually, somebody asked me a question. Not somebody, actually. Different people have always asked me this question. That how much does a computer cost? Okay. Let me ask the same question to somebody here on the group. Okay. Let me ask who? Harriet. Can you turn on your microphone, Harriet? Okay.
Well, to know
Harriet,
how much a computer.
How much does it cost? How much does the computer cost?
Well, you can't know how much a computer costs. It's according to the both software and hardware, plus the ROM, RAM, many things you can determine the price of a computer.
Okay, that's according to Harriet. Let me ask who? Fiona Kemigisha, how much does a computer cost? Fiona? Fiona seems not to be knowing how much it costs. We have Namiro, Nashiba. Namiro, can you speak to us? She's absent. Okay. We have our one and only coordinator. Whenever I'm left with no choice, I'll always run back to my coordinator. Coordinator, Mama, tell us, how much does a computer cost? Rebecca? Oh, yes, even sir. The coordinator herself. How much does the computer cost? Okay, tell us, coordinator Wamma.
Me, I think it determines on the software that the computer can handle, the storage devices.
Okay. Thank you very much. So that question has no answer. Okay? Has no definite answer. How much a computer costs has no definite answer. It's like asking, actually, there's another person who asked how much a mobile phone costs because of asking me a silly question, okay? So I asked, to answer that person, I answered by posing another question, that how much does a mobile phone cost? Then somebody told me that it's about 260. Then asked another question, that, can you get me Samsung? I gave the description and then asked, can you get me this certain specific brand on that much? The person said no. Okay. Then I answered back that there's a computer for, there's a phone for even 30K, 30,000, and there's another one for 10 million. Okay. So in other words, it depends on so many factors. Unfortunately, most of us always, when we go to the shops, we just say that I want a mobile phone, for example. Okay. I want a computer, just that. Then they show us the available computers or mobile phones. We just look at the color and that is it. You say that, no, I want either black or pink. Okay. So at the end of it all, we end up being cheated. Why? Because we don't know anything about what should do, look at, what we should do, bear in mind before choosing or determining what to buy. So let me ask the members to tell me the what? To tell me the features that you should look at, you can look at before choosing or determining which one to buy, which type of computer to buy. Yes, members. Yes, can you tell me? What can you look at before buying? Let's say you want to buy a smartphone. Since most of you are using phones, what are some of the factors you look at?
Storage.
Yes, someone has talked about storage. Thank you very much. Then
it also depends on the brand.
Someone has talked about the brand. Okay. Different, for example, when you look at mobile phones, sometimes the brand called the Samsung tends to be more expensive, even when it is not performing at its best. Okay. Whereas there are those that we seem to underrate, and yet they are cheaper, yet and at the same time they're even performing better than Samsung. Okay. Then which other factors can we look at? Let me see in the chat. Someone has talked about the hard disk drive. That is Davis Kagezi. He has also talked about the processor speed, which is also very correct. He has talked about RAM. Someone has talked about camera pixels. That's if you have to buy, let's say, a mobile phone. Then some, especially if you are more about pictures, taking pictures, either a slay queen or a slay king. Then the battery life has been talked about. Then, I don't understand what you mean by version, but somebody has talked about version anyway. etc. Okay. So now that we have looked at all of that, I think I've been taking you to marathon. Okay, the marathon has been too high. So should we take a break or should we end here for today?
We end here.
Take a break.
End here.
End here for today.
We end here for today.